So here's some exciting news. Retrobit Publishing just announced that they're going to be releasing a limited edition cartridge of Assault Suits Valken on the Super Nintendo. If that name doesn't ring a bell, it might be because it was released in the United States and Europe under the much more menacing name Cybernator. This brand new release will finally give Western gamers the unedited and completely uncensored version of the game for the very first time. And best of all, there's going to be a deluxe box set edition that comes with a commemorative coin, Soundbytes keychain, celebratory acrylic stand, and more. Pre-orders are open right now for both the collector's cartridge and the deluxe edition box set. Now all of this talk about Assault Suits Valken got me wondering what the critics said back when it used to be called Cybernator. To answer that question, I decided to flip through the pages of Electronic Gaming Monthly, Die Hard Game Fan, GamePro, and more classic magazines to see what the critics said back when this game first came out. So go and get cozy in one of those assault suits, because this is going to be an action-packed episode of Retrobit Review Crew. By 1993, Konami had already made a name for themselves with high-quality action game franchises like Contra and Gradius, shoot-em-ups that were able to raise the bar in their respective categories. With Contra 3, the Alien Wars already showing off what Konami could do with Nintendo 16-bit hardware, all eyes were on Cybernator to continue to set the standard for all side-scrolling action games. A localization of the Japanese game Assault Suits Valken, Cybernator was a lot more story-driven than your typical shooter, something that definitely made it stand out in the early 1990s. Sure, it had the usual mech action and outer space shooting, but it also had political intrigue and chatty characters that helped to flesh out what could have been yet another two-dimensional story. The result was another winner for Konami, as you're about to see with all these reviews from 1993. Now we should probably start with Die Hard Game Fan, which was one of Konami's biggest cheerleaders at the time. Brody ended up giving Cybernator a score of 99%, arguing that Konami had maxed out the Super NES this time. Coming close to perfection, from the graphics to the music, nothing was overlooked. It's like playing a movie with a full musical soundtrack and an intense story that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Skip also loved the game, saying that it was definitely one of the best games for the big SNES. Konami's just too good. Maybe they'll let me move in. Die Hard Game Fan gave Cybernator an average score of 98%. You also saw high scores from Nintendo Magazine System, who gave it a 94%. Superplay was nearly as high, going with a 91%, just enough to earn it a spot as the magazine's 33rd best reviewed game of all time. And then there's GamePro, which gave it a perfect 5 out of 5. They called it rust-proof. There's no slowdown or glitchy sprite behavior. The gameplay is smooth and on target, and the control of the character is inhibited only by your reflexes. If your thumbs are up for the challenge, Cybernator delivers. It pulls you into its steely world and keeps you hooked until unleaded gas everywhere is free from enemy hands. This card definitely deserves a medal. While most critics loved Cybernator, not all of them were ready to give it a perfect or near-perfect score. For example, Computer and Video Games gave it an 88% in their 136th issue, while Super NES Buyer's Guide went with an 8.7 out of 10. Game Informer went slightly lower, giving it an 8.5 out of 10. Surprisingly, Electronic Gaming Monthly was oddly consistent with their scores, giving Cybernator an average score of 8 out of 10. That's right, everybody gave it an 8. Steve explained that this game is a Super NES update to the Genesis classic Target Earth, but the game designers have done more than just simply add new detail to the graphics. Many aspects of the gameplay have been enhanced to create a game with plenty of technique to complement the great graphics. Fake Ninja Sushi X also liked the game, raving that the Super NES really shows its stuff in this game. The soundtrack is really kickin' and it's easy to get lost in the beat. Graphically, it uses astounding detail and colors. The Mode 7 explosions need work, however, and the control is a little choppy at first. Now, if you're looking for low scores, you're not really going to find very many. Video games and computer entertainment wasn't as wowed as the rest of the magazines, but I wouldn't call a 7.4 out of 10 a low score by any means. That's also what you saw from Nintendo Power, which gave Cybernator a score of 3.7 out of 5. They liked the great graphics, excellent control, and non-stop action, though it had a paragraph full of complaints. It isn't always clear if an enemy is taking damage, which means that you can waste a lot of time trying to waste invincible objects. The Power Punch attacks put your Cybernator in an awkward and hard-to-defend position. Honestly, I've been playing a lot of Assault Suits Valken in the lead-up to this announcement, and I gotta say that neither of those complaints stood out to me. What I was struck by was the inventive level designs, the explosive actions, and the story, which will finally be unedited and uncensored in this upcoming Retrobit cartridge. Look, this is, in my opinion, one of the best action games of the 16-bit generation. And I'm so excited that we're able to pre-order the game as both a limited edition collector's cartridge and a deluxe edition box set. Check out the detail box for more information about where you can pre-order Assault Suits Valken from Retrobit Publishing. Hey, thanks for watching me break down the scores for Cybernator. I don't know about you, but I am definitely excited to get my hands on a copy and play through the uncensored game. I love this thing. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite 16-bit action game? From Contra 3 to Gunstar Heroes to the very game we're talking about today. There are just so many good ones to choose from. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back later this week with a review of Everhood, as well as Bud Spencer and Terrence Hill Slappin' Beans 2, which I am being told is definitely a real game. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.